Hello. Is your marriage staler than a piece of 5-day gluten-free bread, 5-day old? I hope not. But if it is, gluten-free or not, I have 5 tips today that are going to help you to improve your relationship, to make your marriage happier. And I'm so excited to share these with you. I'm Rachel Stravelli. I'm an inner wisdom teacher and coach, and I make videos helping people connect to themselves, connect to the earth, and more. So I'm so glad that you're here. So today we're talking about 5 tips that make relationships work. Now, a number of years ago, I found out about these cards. They're called Vertellis, and I have a couple sets of conversation cards, but this set is specifically designed for love, for relationships. And I use these periodically with my husband, and here is what we have found. And since he's not here, I'll speak for both of us. The last time we used these, it literally opened up my mind to new ways of seeing how he sees the world and what he was going through and what he was feeling, things that he wasn't talking to me about, even though on a regular basis I say, hey, how are you doing? How was your day? What's going on? What are your dreams? Blah, 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 blah. But I ask these things in the same kind of way that I normally ask. And I think there's something about these questions perhaps that gets us to think in a new way and ask questions in a new way. And there's several rounds. So for example, here's a question from round 1, together and alone. When in recent months did you have the most fun with your partner? That was not the question that we came up with that was so changing. I think ours was something about, if you had a whole day to yourself, what would you do? And after we did that question, the next weekend, I let him have the whole day to do what he did. It actually kind of changed the trajectory of what we were doing in our lives and really helped me reset and reorient to how I was relating to him. And I felt like these cards, the fact that we bought actually they were a gift, but the fact that we have these and we use these every now and again, we just do it, and it's a lighthearted way to connect and talk about things in a new way, or ask questions of each other in a new way to get to know each other. Because even if you've known each other for 20 years or 8 years or 35 years, it starts to feel like you know everything about that person, but you really don't. And so it's really fun to discover new things about your partner, and it helps to add new spark to the relationship. I'm assuming, in all likelihood, when you met, there were probably so many conversations where you didn't know anything about your partner, but over time, as you're together for a while, you start to kind of know what they're going to say. Or the other day I started to tell my husband a story, and I said, I've never told you this, and he was like, oh yeah, yes you have. And I thought, when? But we've been together for 14 years. So sometime in that 14 years, I told him. All right, my second tip. This is amazing because you can do this if you have a lot of money or if you don't have any money. Now, a marriage counselor is an amazing thing for your marriage. However, depending on what your insurance is or your income, it can cost money to go see these people. But there are some professional marriage counselors. Their last name is the Gottmans, and they have the Gottman Institute. They put out free articles and a free weekly email called the Marriage Minute. It is pretty much like having your own personal marriage counselor. And I've gone to see marriage counselors in person, but I find these emails are like a regular reminder for me, like, oh, here's how I can re-engage. Here's how I can remember it's not all about me. It's not about me being right. It's about honoring the relationship and taking time in the relationship and things like that. So I'll put a link to those below. I'll also put a link to these cards. And here's the other great thing that they have. So if you sign up for their email, they send you the Marriage Minute. And it's a really quick email you can read with links to other articles, gives you inspiring things. I'll put one of the most recent articles that inspires me below. They also have an app that's free called Card Decks. And it's incredible. I'll see if I can figure out how to insert a picture over here. And if not, you can just imagine there's a picture there. In the card deck, there are many different categories. There's questions, ways to spice up your relationship, which I am not going to give you those kinds of tips today. You can find them lots of other places. There are, one of the things is all about opportunities, open-ended questions, rituals for connection. So many great ideas. Because here's the thing, there's a common myth, a common misconception that if you find the right person, that everything else just falls into place and life is just amazing. And yeah, that's kind of true a little bit, except it doesn't mean that you don't have to re-engage and reapply yourself and show up as your best self in your marriage 3 years into it, 10 years into it, 18 years into it, similarly to how you did the first 2 months you were in the relationship. So any one of us can get comfortable and kind of almost lazy with how we interact with our partner, and then they're not getting the best of us. And then over time, the relationship can get a little bit dull, get a little bit stale, back to this old bread piece over here that's sitting around. And you know what? This person at one point in your life, you were like, this is who I want to spend my life with. For ye I shall forsake all others. And now they're stale bread to you. All right, let's like add some moisture to that bread, revitalize it, add some pesto there. All right, so third tip to add some pesto to your life: gratitude, appreciation. Now, hopefully there is something that you can find to appreciate about your partner, even if they're not the greatest person on earth. But there are some good things about them, which is why you decided to marry them or commit to them. A couple years back, and I'll put this link below, I wrote a blog post about how I spent 1 week every day in a notebook writing down 3 to 5 things about my husband that I appreciated. And they had to be specific things to that day. I couldn't just be like, he's a great guy, I love his eyes. No, it had to be something like, I love that he cleaned up after dinner. I love that he gave me a hug first thing in the morning. So it had to be a specific thing that had happened that day that was not general. I was shocked by how much my relationship to him changed over the course of the next 7 to 10 days. And I didn't notice it the first few days in, but about a week or 10 days later, I noticed that things that he had been doing a week ago that annoyed me, now when I saw him doing them, I was like, oh, that's so cool. That's so creative. He has such an interesting way of looking at the world. And it's like, wait, what? My mind totally flipped, and I was in such a mindset of appreciating what he was doing as opposed to finding ways that he was doing things wrong because they weren't how I would do them. And it really flipped my perspective, and I highly recommend it. It's super simple to do, but it will impact your life in a great way. And you know, honestly, all of us love being appreciated. We all want to feel important and needed and valuable, especially to the ones we love the most. All right, tip number 4, flirting. You're looking good today. Okay, whatever way that you like to flirt with your partner, if you have stopped flirting, time to bring it up again. I want you to give this person attention. If you're a texter, send them a sexy text. It doesn't have to be a picture. It doesn't even, if you're not used to sending sexy texts, it doesn't even have to be that provocative. It could be a look that you give the person, or, you know, a little, however you like to flirt, bring some of that back. Because again, if things are feeling so stale, then it's probably because the things that you used to do that made it feel all fun and exciting and good, you're not doing them anymore. And okay, sometimes when I'm being flirtatious with my husband, if we're kind of in a mode where we haven't been doing that, he'll look at me and be like, ugh, really? And and there are definitely times when he's kind of like, oh my gosh. But if nothing else, then we laugh about it, or I laugh and I ramp it up a little bit more. And it's a really fun way of just reminding each other, like, hey, I still find you attractive, and I think you find me attractive too. And any one of us could, I mean, the same like dopamine rush or whatever it is, high that you could get from flirting with a stranger, why not flirt with your partner and re-engage some of that fun, flirtatious energy that at the beginning of your relationship you had a lot of. All right, tip number 5, the 5 love languages. Have you ever heard of these? They're actually pretty incredible. I should have looked up the person's name who created them. I'm sorry, there's a book. There's even 5 love languages for kids. So the idea is that there are 5 love languages, and that the way that I express love may be different than the way you express love, may be different than the way your partner expresses love. And the way we like to receive love is individual to each of us. So the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, quality time, and physical touch. Most of us have one dominant one and then one that's like also pretty important to us. So mine are words of affirmation. I love hearing words of affirmation. Things like acts of service. My husband could wash my car, and I mean, yeah, I would say thank you. I would like it, but honestly, like, it does not light me up. Whereas every card he has ever given me, I have in a box. I still keep those. And when he gives them to me, I put them up either on my dresser, the kitchen table, or wherever. I will keep it up for 2 months and read it every day. So for me, like, that's the impact that it has. And I know that about myself. And so when you look into this love languages and you have your partner look into it, it lets you see them through a new light and through a new lens, and it can really enhance the way that you are expressing love to one another. Because what the author of the book talks about is sometimes we think we're showing the person that we love, but if that's not how they receive love, then they're just like, why are you washing my car all the time? And the other person's like, this is how I showed love, but they're not saying it with words. Whereas I would be like, give me the words. So it's a really great way to engage and look at it in a new way. And I, a lot of the time, talk about connecting to the earth and other things. So today's about connecting to your partner. But as we all know, if we're not connected to ourselves, if we're not connected to the people around us, and if we're not connected to the planet, we really can't have a happy life. So all of those are essential for happiness and success. Feel free to leave me a comment below if you have a marriage tip that you think is really incredible. And keep it PG, people, or PG-13 at the very least. And please subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and I hope you have a great day with your love. All right, take care. Bye.